I am James Swanwick. Welcome to another episode. And today we're talking to Jeff Salzbrun, who's 52. He's a commercial real estate broker and investor in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he says that he has generated $200,000 more inside of the 90 days that he quit drinking with us, which is pretty amazing. He's lost an incredible 30 pounds, removed headaches that he used to get. He's reading a book a week, and he's going to Minnesota Twins baseball games, alcohol-free with his wife, going on boat trips and spending time at his lake house, alcohol-free, outperforming his friends, all in 90 days. It almost does not sound real, but it is, and he's going to share how he did it in the upcoming interview. Amazing man, Jeff. Amazing achievement. Jeff actually got on my email list back in 2017 and proceeded to do absolutely nothing about it until Memorial Day 2021. So what's that? Probably 4 years later, he finally took action. He joined our Project 90 program, and with our help, he quit drinking for 90 consecutive days, and now he intends to remain alcohol-free, and he's loving life, feeling amazing. Pretty amazing how you can be thinking about something and wait 4 years before actually taking action. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself in other areas of my life, not so much around drinking, but imagine what those 4 years could have done for Jeff and his family if he'd taken action back then. This is not a criticism of Jeff by any stretch of the imagination. It's just so fascinating when I hear people say that they've been thinking about doing this for years, and then they do it and they get this amazing, profound transformation or impact in their family and their health and their finances. It's amazing how we human beings get in our own way a lot of the time, don't we? I mean, I'm just about to get into some real estate deals. I'm about to start buying real estate, I think, for the next couple of years. I've been investing in different things like my businesses and stock market and a few other things, but not so much real estate. I'm about to get into it. And as I'm about to start purchasing real estate in the US, I'm thinking to myself, man, I should have done this back in 2016 when I was first thinking about it. Because I was thinking about it back in 2016. I'm like, wow, 5 years have passed. Imagine how much further along I would be in my real estate portfolio, or with my real estate portfolio, if I had done this 5 years ago. But anyway, that's life. Got to look forward, not backwards. Just a reminder, if you are not getting my emails and you'd like to get my daily words of wisdom, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. There's also that very link in the description of this show and the podcast. If you would like to apply to be part of our Project 90 experience, which helps high performers, including entrepreneurs and top professionals, to get power over their drinking habits, then you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, where you can schedule a time and speak to one of our coaches. It's a no obligation exploratory call. I've also put that link in the show description of this podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can just go into the description and click on that. Likewise, if you're listening on Spotify. I have a little bit of an injury at the moment. I've got tennis elbow. I started playing a lot of tennis twice a week. Started about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and then a couple days or 3 days ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and my elbow was hurting, and then I went back to sleep. When I woke up and got up about 7 a.m., I looked in the mirror and my elbow had swollen up. It's still pretty sore. Amazing how quickly that came about just by playing a couple games of tennis. So if anyone's got any suggestions on how I can recover quickly from tennis elbow, which seems to be an overuse of, of course, the elbow, but also the forearm, then I'm all ears. Please do email me at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. If you've experienced tennis elbow and there was a quick way that you got over it, I would love to know. You can also send me an Instagram message at at James Swanwick. If you're on Instagram or at Facebook at James Swanwick, you can send me a friend request and say hi on Facebook. I'm all for that. But let's get into today's interview with Jeff Salzbrun, 52, commercial real estate broker and investor from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like I said, he is going to talk about how he generated $200,000 more in just 90 days, which is pretty amazing. Lost 30 pounds, reduced his headaches, started reading a book a week. He said that he estimates he'll make probably $3 million more over the next 10 years just from the clarity from being alcohol-free, which is pretty amazing. And I guess even most importantly of all the conversation, he talks about being a better father for his son, who's only 6. I'll let him tell the story rather than me steal his limelight. So here he is, Jeff Salzbrun, on his 90-day alcohol-free experience. So Jeff, just tell us a little bit about your lifestyle. Where do you live? Are you married? You got kids? Where did you grow up? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jeff Salzbrun. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota area. I am married and have a couple wonderful children. Young one, I'm 52. I have a 6-year-old, and I'm a commercial real estate broker and investor here in town.
And you said you got a 6-year-old and a 23-year-old, I think. Boy, girl, 2 boys, 2 girls. What do you got?
A 23-year-old daughter out of college, and I have a 6-year-old on his way to college eventually.
Wow. There's a big gap there. Huh? You thought, I'll take a 17-year break, huh?
That's proper college planning. I suggest it to everybody.
So you're in commercial real estate. What do you do?
I'm a broker and help clients find properties to purchase, lease, or clients that sell properties. My wife and I are also investors here in town. I've done tons of development in my career here in town, and just anything that has to do with commercial real estate. And I own my own company. So,
okay, fantastic. And you were saying just before we hit record here that being alcohol-free gave you crystal clarity. Is that right? So just explain that a little bit, will you?
I think I mentioned a couple of times I came into this because I've had some ongoing back pain, and I kind of thought by stopping drinking the beer would bring down the inflammation a little bit. And the result is I gained a lot of other things. And one of the things is just after the 3rd or 4th week, maybe this newfound clarity comes back. And so mostly in my business, but just back to reading books instead of watching YouTube videos, and really getting back to focused and becoming organized, not only with my business, but for my personal life, personal financial goals and things like that. So it's been fantastic to kind of discover the things that I wasn't anticipating. So
let's backtrack a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your drinking career, I guess. What's it been? I mean, you said you're 52, so let's say the last 20 years before you actually decided to do Project 90 and quit for at least 90 days. The last 20 years or so, what's been your drinking career like?
Fantastic question. So my wife, first of all, thought I was crazy for doing this because it wasn't a situation of an angry spouse or anything. It was more of, I'm always trying to read somebody recommend the best book or something. And I ran across James's deal on Facebook one time. So my career has been like any other. I would say I thought I was like everybody else, and you kind of start to become successful in what you do, which means more happy hours, more success celebrations. You're married, and I have a lake place, so we're doing things on the weekends. And there was no real big progression of drinking. It was just this habit that seemed to get in the way. And as an older parent, I started thinking about the time I would have with my son, and I decided that it's probably time to slow down. In the back of my mind, some of these things were surfacing on, what if I wasn't drinking? And so maybe not any real big problem other than just that ultimate goal of becoming a wiser, better person and wanting to become a better father, husband, friend, colleague. So no real big problems. I'd say there were problems when I was beyond 20 years, absolutely, in my college years and after the military. But last 20 years, I'd say I was more of the average guy in the neighborhood, but I always had a beer in my hand. I was a beer guy. So still, I still think of myself as a beer guy, even though I don't plan on having any more beer. There's beer in my house if you want to come over and visit all the time. I won't. I don't need to hide it for myself. I'm pretty strong on what I'm doing here. So,
What's your beer brand of choice?
well, there's so many all the microbrews coming out now. So I just usually just go to dinner and have an IPA, one IPA or an IPA and a half, maybe once or twice during the week for dinner. But you wake up with that fog because these microbrew beers are they're a little bit stronger. They're not like. Frankly, I kind of enjoyed it, but I just didn't enjoy it's like double work trying to. If you drink a beer and a half at night, the next day, whether you want to admit it or not, you're groggy. You're not ready to go like you are when it's great when you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Or I get up all the time in the middle of the night. And you're like, wow, because normally you got a headache and you're grabbing a couple of Tylenol and jumping back in bed. You hope there's 3 more hours to morning. Morning's a little more exciting now. So,
And so, how many beers would you have of a normal night then during a week before you quit?
Not a lot during the week, and I was very responsible. If I went out, I would always take an Uber home. In fact, I used to say I wanted my Uber when I met with my accountant. I'd see my Uber bill. I wanted it to go from when Uber first came out. I wanted it to go from 6,000 to 60,000. Like I just didn't ever want to have to put myself in that position where I'd have to drive after drinking a beer because of problems I had back in college. And now I just lost track of the question. Sorry.
That's all right. I was just saying, well, how many beers did you drink
Yeah,
usually?
so usually 1 or 2 out at happy hour would be it and come home and be done. Now on the weekends, up at the lake, we drink like the Busch Light or something like that, where you're just kind of sipping on a beer all day long. And it was just a habit. I mean, I had a 90-year-old lady next door. She died at about 96, just this past November. And on Saturday mornings, I would go down to her house and have coffee. Her name was Bonnie. She'd warm up your coffee one time, and then you were drinking a Schmidt beer. I don't know if you ever heard of Schmidt beer, but a lot of people are going to laugh at that comment because I'd walk home to my wife when I first got our lake place 16 years ago, and I'm like, she's drinking beer at 7:00 in the morning. Like I thought this was like in fairy tales or something, But she wouldn't give you any more coffee, and she wanted to have a beer with you. She'd say she didn't have too many Friday nights left. So had I tried this a year ago, she might have chased me down the street with a shotgun because she just wanted to have a buddy, And so she passed away, and that's really what it made it. Like it wasn't because I missed her. It was like now I can do this. Like I didn't want to let her down. That was probably part of it. So
yeah, I'm sensing that you're probably great on paper in the sense that your life seems pretty great. Like it's probably you're happily married. You got 2 great kids. You do well financially. Alcohol's not causing you to lose your temper or get frustration. It wasn't causing you marital problems. You're successful, like I said, in your profession. So on paper, you're a pretty successful guy, right? Like you've kind of got what most human beings would want in life, and yet there was something that was eating away at you with your drinking habits.
Yeah, somebody had said that looking good on paper is such a great quote. I wrote that down on one of our group calls the other night. Somebody had said that I look good on paper, and I'm like, man, that was me. Yeah, I do look good. I look great on paper. And I don't think that this makes me. I think this makes me look better on paper. I'm thinking I was just going through my insurance today, and I'm like, they should know this. Yeah, for some reason, you just go. But absolutely, I have the most beautiful family in the world. I think I'm just extremely lucky in so many ways. But you know what? My history, if you really, really go back into those college days and after the military, I had a lot of struggles. I am very aware that one slip up, one traffic violation, one DWI, one hurting a child at the lake. We have snowmobiles and 4-wheelers and jet skis and all this stuff. if one person gets hurt under my watch, it's over. And I may have shared with you, James, I don't remember, but I was at a friend's new house, beautiful, beautiful home, a year ago. And I can't remember if it was right after the end of COVID last year. Maybe it was prior to COVID. I took a 4-pack of IPAs. It wasn't a big drinking thing. It was just some people after work and our kids were going to go swimming for a little while. And all of a sudden somebody yelled and said, Levi went under. And I looked and Levi had just kind of walked, my son Levi, walked to the edge where it starts going to the deep end, and he went under. And there's 8 adults and 3 kids in the pool or something. And I just launched in my clothes into the pool. I got him. He was totally fine. But on day 88 of this, I was listening to some other podcast. I heard a similar story. And I thought, you're always looking for, because you don't know what you're going to do on day 90. I went into this thinking, I'll take 90 days off and I'll be right back at it. And all these little things kind of come to you. It's almost like a spiritual thing. And I'm not a super spiritual guy, but I had heard that podcast. I'm like, somebody's trying to tell me something. And I was like driving down the road crying because I thought of almost my own error. And this poor lady just turned around for a minute and her little girl had fallen in a pool. And I'm like, I seen that happen. And it still haunts me to this day that happened, even though I don't blame drinking at all. We just got there. But what if it was, or what if it did? And what if I get a DWI, I can't drive and do my career as a commercial real estate broker? Just a lot of those things. So
it's a good wake-up call, I guess, isn't it? When you think about it like that, if you're not at your best and something happens, like a child falls into water, or you're driving and you need to quickly move the car and get out of the way or something, like you want to be at the top of your game.
And so those are the kind of the negative things. But I mean, hey, I was boating with some friends during this 90 days and I brought all my little spritzer waters. I had the greatest day on the water, and I had to be at my son's baseball game. Rush hour traffic. Was I speeding a little bit? Possibly. But I had nothing it's just a different feeling when you've done nothing wrong, or you haven't had a beer yesterday and might be a little dinged or hungover. There's just so many, but that's the fear and the bad things that can happen. I'd say I've been more focused on all the positive stuff and just how I can make a difference now. The fact that I've heard a lot of people in here talk like, yeah, it's great. I can go anywhere I want any time of the day. At 8:00 at night, if I want to run an errand, I can go jump in the car. I don't have to be thinking about that. Operating a boat or whatever it may be. And I also, something I was thinking about is I never used to tell my clients to call me anytime, right? I mean, we got to put limits on it, but now I just feel like, call me Friday night at 8:00. If you want to sign up a $5 million deal, I'm ready to type, So there's that. So just, I think there's, and I think that's one of the benefits of this program is for anybody out there that's just kind of watching this and thinking about it. And that's why I told you I wanted to do this, try to help somebody. This isn't about, oh, woe's me. This is not a woe's me program. This is like, how are you succeeding? How are you improving? How are your relationships improving? It's all about that. And that's what most of us are consistently talking about on the calls in this group and kind of on our one-on-ones. So
tell me a little bit about the drinks, the spritzer drinks that you referenced there. You're on the boat. Like, what did you drink instead of alcohol?
So I got one right here, the Spindrift. But that's not my favorite. My favorite is some other one that's like a coconut flavored one. These waters are 0 calories. Sure, they're carbonated, so that may your dentist may say something about that. Don't be drinking too many of them. I've always been a water guy. I've never drank Diet Pepsi, Coke, Mountain Dew. I've just never been that guy. It's water or beer, pretty much. So I think the key to my success was at the lake, I'll be on a golf cart or I'll be somewhere and I've always got a beer, right? But now I always have one of these Spindrifts or something nearby. I go to Target, I buy $80 or $100 worth of these things, and I got piles of it sitting around. At the cabin, we have like a refrigerator, and then we have the big glass door beer cooler and I still do, and I still will. I know what my friends that come by and visit drink, and I always make sure I just like to be a good host and have that stuff. but it's slowly being taken over by all the different flavors of these waters that I like. But when I went boating with those friends, as an example, I went and made sure that I had a 12-pack of cans of water. And I think I actually picked up some IPAs for some of the other guys too. But when you're jumping on the boat or you arrive at the boat like this, nobody's saying anything. And I don't have to tell everybody.
Just to be clear for our listener, because you're visually demonstrating.
Yeah, so it's a Spindrift.
Yeah, you're holding a can of Spindrift, which is like carbonated water. Yeah.
And nobody knows because there's so many different types of beer. There's thousands of it. And I'm not hiding it. And I'm still laughing and having a great time. I do notice that I was out at a birthday party, a pool party Sunday. I went through a 12-pack of Spindrift. Like I probably just am a thirsty guy. But the water, just drinking water, the effect of water versus the dehydration of alcohol, it's just so extreme. You're hydrating yourself all day. That's probably where some of the weight loss comes in. I'm not sure. I know I do sleep better, but I have to get up and go to the bathroom a lot because I don't like stop drinking water. I gotta figure that one out. But I got another 90 days to tweak a few things. So I'm still adjusting to that. But
yeah, you said that you lost some weight over these 90 days. So can you reveal how much weight you lost, and just how did that feel?
So I was at about 230, which was a little bit of COVID weight. I like to be right around 205, somewhere in there. 187 is kind of my dream weight. And I didn't do this program to lose weight, but I think when you drink a beer, if you go to dinner and have a beer, one beer, you may order French fries instead of something else. Like the clarity is, we all know that vegetables are better for us, right? And so I naturally just began to eat better because of the clarity. And then there comes a point where, the things kind of cross. You're kind of getting used to not drinking. You're like, your clarity's coming in and you're eating a little bit better. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, am I losing weight? Like my pants are loose. And then you jump on the scale and you're like, I'm down 10 pounds. Well, then something triggers, and it did in my head, like, you know what? I'm just eating better and I'm getting better rest, which those are two things that are important. And so did I mentally try to begin really watching how I'm eating and how I react to food as compared to when I was drinking? Absolutely. I was at the pool party Sunday. For some reason, I ended up by that chip dip with the Tostitos with the bean dip, And had I been drinking out and just been shoveling, I'm like, I just gotta walk away and go over here, and I'm just in a better spot. So that's the clarity, right? You're just making better decisions. I mean, that's just a great example of how the clarity helps you make better decisions. And I could go on and on. But yeah, I get the weight and everything about this program. Sometimes I'll see a buddy that I haven't seen in a while, and I just have to tell him, like, I got to tell you in fact, I think I told it 3 times today. And I'm not doing it I'm always trying to mentor and help a lot of young people in my life. And today I just happened to be talking to like a 70-year-old guy I know. And I'm like, because I used to run into him at some happy hours. I said, I gotta tell you something I just did. And he was like, I should do that. He was just telling me how he just got on a new medication and he can't drink. And it was kind of hard at first. And I don't think as grown adults, when you look good on paper, people don't suddenly say, well, what would the paper start to look like if I stopped drinking? And I absolutely did say that. And I study my paper pretty often. It's not a personal scorecard, but I'm very organized, and I just continue to figure out how to tweak not just my financial life, but just things in my life. I'm always trying to ask friends about the best book and how to do better and perform better, do deals better. Like, so you're reading all these books and then you're drinking all night and then you're going in like, I have a bad enough memory problem if you haven't discovered, but I get by. So
how many pounds did you lose?
Oh yeah, back to that 30. It was 30 to 31. Effectively, it's a 90-day program, but I was brought into this program for the June, July, August challenge, which is really 92 days. So
Okay, so you lost,
we
let's
could
say
say 31.
31. So we give you the benefit of the doubt and we'll say you lost 31 pounds
31.
in 93 days. Is that right?
Yeah, it was amazing.
So you lost, yeah, that's kind of insane, isn't it? That's a lot. That's a lot. 31 pounds is a lot.
After like 15 days, now you don't drink that. People think like, man, you must really drink a lot. No, not really. At about day 20, when you start, 15 to 20, when you get through those first 2 weekends, I would say those are probably they're not rough, but it's when you're adjusting. But when I first stepped on the scale, then I'm like, you know what? At lunch, I'm going to go for a walk today. I'm 52. I just can't go out and go for a run. My body's beat up. Working out's a little tough, but I'm going to start working out now that, it's easier to do when you shed that weight. I'm 6 feet tall, so 220 never looked bad on me. I wasn't like a real big guy. I was looking I can see myself in the Zoom camera here, and my cheeks the shirt is making them look red, but normally my face is where I really lose the weight. And I think if we went back and looked at a picture from initially to now, that's where it really shows. But I'm going to keep going, forging forward. And the next 90, I've already written down a couple of goals. And one of them is my ideal weight is really 187. I was 187 pounds in the military in my fighting weight days. And I'd like to get back to that, but kind of going to start working in the doing some weights and doing some strength training at my age. So,
well, you'll get there. If you're at 187, you'll be around what I am. I usually float between 184, 187, somewhere around there. I just call it 185. And I got up to your weight. I got up to about 218 pounds in the late 2000s. And there's a very kind of famous photo of me and the Hollywood actress Jennifer Aniston on one of our alcoholfreelifestyle.com websites, where I was sucking my gut in because I was getting this photo with this Hollywood starlet and my fat rolls were kind of just like coming out over the belt of my pants. And I've got that kind of soft marshmallow face, because just like puffy in the face. And it's been remarkable to see you kind of develop a more chiseled look in your face since you started here, because you lost 30 pounds. So if you look at a photo of you or we looked at a video of you when you first began to now, it's a very striking change, isn't it? It's like the softness of the face has been replaced by a more chiseled kind of James Bond-esque kind of manly, masculine, alpha male kind of look.
No, it does, because I get like double, triple chins fast in here. But the other thing is, I was on a group call last night. There's the neat thing is when you get to close to the 90 days, there's a couple of the women in the group for sure. Their faces, like almost within like a week, their faces look just incredible. So to all the women out there, this is they're going to love it. They can save on all that makeup they have to buy, because maybe they still put it on, but they really do come around rather quickly, I think. And the men too, but I noticed it in the women more. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's remarkable how a woman's face can change by just stopping pouring toxins down their throat. Like how that shows up in, how that shows up in the face. I always say to women, and this is to men as well, but particularly to women, because they tend to be the ones who are buying moisturizers, most of the moisturizers. I'm like, you don't even need to buy those fancy Neutrogena products and moisturizers to make your skin look, nice and refreshed. You just stop drinking alcohol and drink more water. And it's remarkable how your face and your complexion and your skin quality improves just like overnight. It's like you've gone in and had plastic surgery, not bad plastic surgery, but you know what I mean? Like you've had something done, like rejuvenative, I think that's the right word, rejuvenative, a rejuvenative procedure, let's call it. And you come out and people are going, wow, you look amazing. What did you do? What have you done? I'm like, I stopped drinking alcohol and drank more water for 90 days.
Yeah. And maybe too, I could tell you in the 90 days, I probably saved 2 bottles of Advil or Tylenol. I don't feel like my back feels a whole lot better, but I definitely have not taken as many pills for pain or, because sometimes I take it for pain in my back, sometimes for my headache. I've never had a headache in 90 days. So, and it's not, again, it's not every day, but if you take 2 Tylenol 3 times a week, 3 mornings or 3 days after drinking where you kind of got a headache, that adds up. So it's, I feel fantastic. I mean, it's just, and your mood is just more, I'm just even, but, I've been tied up to other boats out there and I'm just still having a fantastic, I'm having a better time. I said this to a group of people, like when you're sitting back and you're not drinking, you're having a good time. But a lot of my guys were talking about the deals we're working on and things. And I'm watching these guys drink and I'm just like, I'm going to pass you guys by and you're not even paying attention. Like they're not paying attention. Like they don't realize that what this is doing is, I'm going to outperform them. It's not a baseball game or anything like that, but really in many ways. I mean, if I can read one more book a month, most people don't read books, but right now I'm back to reading 3 to 4 books a month. And I was probably reading a book every 2 months before, but the pile's going down and I continue ordering new books on Amazon. And through osmosis alone, whether you read it slowly or whatever, you're going to start picking up on some good things that are going to effectively, not financially, but just they're going to make you a better person. The books I read aren't all about financials, but they're just causing you to think and learn and continue to grow. I bought a spiritual book that just came today from Amazon. I'm thinking about it. There's just some things I'm thinking about, and we'll see what happens.
You referenced that it's not about the money and finances, etc. And like when you mentioned outperforming friends, maybe you're referencing outperforming them. It could be professionally, but could be in health. It just could be in experience of life, enjoyment of life. But you did, in fact, have a big financial windfall of sorts during these 90 days, which you credit to the clarity from being alcohol-free. So let me just ask you a straight-up question. How much additional income do you think you generated for yourself as a result of being alcohol-free within this 90-day program, Project 90?
Honestly, a couple $100,000. My business is pretty lucrative, but when I say that, that could be 1 or 2 deals. And if I was not on the ball, there's 2 deals specifically. One that recently just happened last Friday, but there was one prior to that took every bit of focus I had and could have came off the wheels. Our deals fall off the cart all the time when you're running down the end lane. And when they fall off the cart, that particular deal was about $120,000 paid to me if it got done. And I was on about day 35 or 40. And I know we have another broker in the group when I was going through, and he will tell you what happens when those deals come. The happy hour is like, it's a pretty good happy hour, and you better be taking people out and have a good happy hour. I put the happy hour off because I told everybody else in this program we'll do it in September. But absolutely, and I think I should go back to say that it is not about the money either, the return on investment for this program. But investing in yourself, I just completely believe in. When you're buying a book, you're investing in yourself. When you're taking the time to read, you're investing in yourself. And my son is only 6. And I know for a fact he will notice in the days and the months and the years to come on how different I will be as a dad. And it would be like if you could do an imaginary movie of what your life would look like if you kept drinking, being a father. Fatherhood goes by like so fast because I have a 23-year-old. And the difference in how I will be as a father, as a husband, in the next 90 days and the 90 days after that and the 90 days after that. I mean, it doesn't matter how far you go. You only need to measure in such a, if I didn't drink, if I stayed alcohol free for 1 year, it's going to make a difference in his life. And every year after that, it's just going to be a bonus. And what we do is, as adults, I think we think it's adult time now. We're relaxing. The kids are running around. I was watching a video of the Memorial weekend was my last weekend of drinking because I started June 1. That was my commitment. And we had a little get together with the cabin neighbors, the lake neighbors, because one of my neighbors stopped drinking because he wanted to just simply support me and was not in a program. And he made it, by the way, James. I don't know if I told you that. Now he's got COVID, so he's going to go 100. By then, why would he start? It's just a great guy. And we had a little party, but we were videoing because it was like salsa dancing going on in the front yard. We were doing some shots of tequila. I had a shot, but people were having a great time. It was like 6 o'clock in the evening. And you could see the kids flying by on the little four-wheelers and like going out into the road. We're all like, we're just having fun. And if you were sitting there alcohol-free, you'd be like, hey, don't be riding the road. But no, you just don't, because you're drinking, it doesn't bother you. So it was neat to have that movie clip then and be able to say, we were having a great time. And it was a 2-hour fun party. It was over before it got dark. But when you look at that behavior on video after you've gone for 45 days, you're like, oh, wow, I can be a better dad than that and still have a good time. So now when I'm having a good time and we're tying up the boats, I remember everything. People have said that, like, you remember it, like you're having a great time. I went to a Twins baseball game the other day with my wife. And normally that's a place to drink some beers and you're just there to really drink beer and talk. And it was a great time just talking to my wife and being at the game with her, remembering everything you talked about. So,
how did you manage to remain alcohol free at all these events that are so associated with alcohol? You mentioned a baseball game. You mentioned a boating trip. You mentioned being at the lake house. You mentioned at the end of the day having a beer or two, I guess to relax. Like, how did you rewire your brain so effectively to make it seem so effortless to remain alcohol free during those kind of what ordinarily might be triggering events?
So I'm not going to lie. I mean, there were some times that were challenging. Being prepared would be my number one thing. Now, people think like, you can go out and buy it. I always, in my car, have waters in every door. When I clean my car, I put like 2 waters in every single door all the time. So there's always plenty of water around. There's a case always in the trunk. So I've always been a natural water drinker. Water wasn't going to work for me at the beginning of this program. I just knew I had to have that, like I'm holding a can of beer, if you will. And for me being prepared, going to Target, I mean, yeah, you're buying water in a can and it's $3 for a 12-pack, but I would go into a liquor store and pay $16 for a 4-pack of beer. And when I went boating, just being prepared. The other thing is there's so many of these people that are doing it with you that you will meet. And we do some Marco Polo calls. I listen to them daily, every single day, and I'd write down notes if I was not driving while I'd listen to them. And part of it is you don't want to let down your class or your friends. I mean, that there's a little bit of, I don't want to call it peer pressure, because it wasn't peer pressure. I felt like I was, at times, you become the leader to the new people and you're looking up to the leaders that are leaving. People are coming in and out of this program at the same time. And just like, again, I got to everybody says things that are just so positive and things they tried. And that was key to me to get through all those things. Packing a cooler. Do not trust your friends to pack a cooler. They're bringing beer. Bring your cooler and bring them some beer if you feel good about it. It's not. The other thing is, I never said that I'm so sober. Just sounds like it just seemed like a negative word to me, and I don't remember if we heard that. But people say, "Jeff's sober." No, I'm sober. I'm just alcohol free right now. And the good news is I wasn't. And I don't know. I always wonder how you filter those people out, but like, nobody ever said I was a jerk before I did this. My wife wasn't mad at me before I did this. This was a program that I recognized, reading a couple of emails from you, James, and I'm thinking, is he talking to me? Like, I was just reading a couple of them before you had called, and I'm just like, because I was like, how did I get involved in this anyway? And it's almost like I had little hints of, maybe I want to try that, because nobody who looks good on paper says at 52, I think I'm going to stop drinking for no reason. It seems like somebody must be nagging at them. But I just want to say to the people out there that are not in that camp, your wife's not nagging at you. You don't have any issues, but you just want to become a better person. This is a fantastic thing to try out. I would put it right up there with inviting somebody to church. It's happened to me a few times. It never really stuck, but I enjoyed it every time somebody did invite me. Like, take a break. The gentleman I talked to today that said that he's like 70 and he said he had to quit because of a medication temporarily. Like, enjoy the ride. And if you want to call me and need help, let me know. And I'll talk to you. So I think everybody should try it for 90 days if you drink beer. I mean, whether you have a problem or not. And there's been some people in this group that had some pretty tough things come along. And they're at different points of their life. This might have been much harder if I was in my 20s, having a beautiful family and everything certainly helped. I wasn't alone. My wife didn't exactly support me. She thought I was nuts in the beginning. She can't believe I lost the weight. She's very appreciative of what I've done. And Levi, he's 6. He doesn't know what's going on because I really haven't changed around him that much, but I will remember these things. I may live longer because of these things. So.
Amazing, Jeff. Help me create the headline or the name of this podcast episode. I've been playing around with it while we've been talking in the background here. Tell me whether this resonates with you. We've got married father. I'll give you the draft, and then you tell me what feels right for you. Okay. Married father, 52, makes $200K more, loses 30 pounds and headaches, reads a book a week, all in 90 days.
Yeah.
Perfect. What do you think?
Yeah.
That resonate with you? Yeah.
It's spot on. It's probably more than that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Is anything in there not as important as something else? Like, is there something else that you think, like, if you were to encapsulate your experience there, is there something that I was missing from that?
No, I think it's spot on. I think I told you separately that I consider. I was sitting with a bank friend having an IPA on the Friday. I was waiting for the call to come in at 5:00. Now, I arrived at the cabin about 2:30. My friend that lives in town showed up. He's one of my commercial bankers, and I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing," and he's like, "Man, that's cool." And I'm like, "But we got to get in the golf cart and run down to my friend Salvador's. He knows Salvador. I'm just telling you, Salvador's the guy that did it with me." Salvador's sitting at his picnic table with his wife, and I say, "Salvador, I want you to know at 5:00, I got to make a decision. I'm thinking about doing this June, July, August alcohol-free thing." And his wife, Gail, looks at me and she's like, "Oh boy." And he says, "I'll do it with you," And I'm like, in his Spanish accent, I'm like, "No way." And he's like, "You're my friend. I'm going to support you and I'm not going to drink for 90 days. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. So we sat and had a beer and said, "Yay." And then I had to buzz back because my call was coming at 5:00. Now, I put it on speaker and I put it on the counter, talking to my friend John, the banker. And I said, "John, if the number goes over 2, hang up my phone. I'm gone." and then is it Jim that does the intake off?
Yeah, you. What you're referencing is you're having your enrollment call with Jim, who's part of my team, who speaks to people who are considering enrolling in Project 90. So you're talking about your enrollment call, yeah?
Yeah, and Jim could have just said, "Jeff, I tell you what, it's $6,500 or whatever it was. You want to do it?" That's all he had to say. But he was working his magic a little bit. I just didn't need to hear it. I'm like, I'm doing it. Just tell me what it's going to cost. And I'm like, "Here's my credit card number. Let's go." And then I hang up the phone, and my guy John is like, "Only you, Salzbrun, only you." And I'm like, but it's a lot of money, and I don't care how much money you make. It's a lot of money, and you need to have skin in the game. I think it's important. I think you notice people in here have admittedly said somebody helped them out because they want to do it, and it's not the same. It really isn't. And good for you that I really believe the skin in the game is part. It's and the value is, I couldn't put a number on it. But what I did say that I think you need to hear is I said to John, like, he thought I was slightly crazy, but he knows what I do, and he's like, yeah, you can afford it too, is what he thought. But I said, the ROI on that deal, I'm going to make 10 more million no, I said, I'll make three more. I said, $3 more million in the next 10 years because of that. That's what I said to him. 3 million in 10 years. Sounds petty, but at least I had what I was going to do to convert it. Immediately, there was another gentleman that came across my path within about 5 weeks that I hired as another coach that I needed to hire him. It'd be like hiring a new accountant, basically. And because of this, I did that. Had I not done this, I would not have done that, right? Like I would have been clouded. I wouldn't have had the clarity. And until people people think that once they're done with college, you're done investing. And boy, thank God you got through college that cheap. Back when I went to college, it was cheaper, but it's not over. It's never over. And so that little measly number of 3 million in 10 years, I'm confident it's probably 50 million or more. I buy commercial properties, and, by meeting this coach, it's like, I got a little cold feet on a $4 million deal a few weeks before I started this. I can never go back, so I'm trying to look forward, but I'm still mad that I stepped away from that deal. And it was probably the right thing to do. But the deal, as I was working it, I continued to work on it for another person, just became more and more incredible. But that's behind me, and now I just got to find more deals and just keep plugging away. And but because of this, I've done that. And I know you have some other programs. I may look into them sometime. I got a lot going on right now. I never say busy, because busy means you're disorganized. But the one thing I was going to ask you before we hang up here, what do you use for your business, for your CRM, to keep track of all this stuff and kind of your email campaign? Are you just using Constant Contact, or what do you?
I don't know what Constant Contact is, so I'm definitely not using that, whatever you're referring to.
Well, are you using like Salesforce? I mean, I know you have all these other companies, but does somebody else do it? Like, what do you use to, because I was reviewing the campaign a little bit that you had sent out, like the drip campaign, for example.
You're talking about the drip email campaign, because you've been on my email list since about 2017?
I think so. It may have even been before that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, I use a company called Active Campaign, which is like an email CRM, which tracks everything. Yeah. So you must have joined my email list back in 2017. Yep. And then
there was some 30-day deal.
Yeah, I have a 30-day no alcohol challenge. Yeah, I've still got the 30-day no alcohol challenge at 30daynoalcoholchallenge.com. And I track you. I stalk you.
But then do you remember the story too, that the Wednesday night before the Friday, when I was having the intake call, I'm at dinner with my good friend Troy and his wife and our kids. It was the first time we kind of got our wives together for dinner. We're friends because our boys wrestled together at Totino Grace. And I said to Troy, hey, I got this call coming up Friday. I want to tell you about it. All I knew I've known Troy from wrestling, sitting on, while they're coaching the kids, we sit outside in the hall and chat. And he's a businessman and younger guy. And he was wearing Swanwick glasses when I met him.
Like, oh, nice.
Glasses. And so he, we're at dinner, and I said, I'm going to do this James Swanwick deal or something like that. He's like, Swanee, that's what I did. He's like, I did that 7 years ago, a 30-day program, and he has dropped since. And we were just we had kind of met through wrestling like 2 years ago. We've just become closer and closer because we're very business minded. He owns an insurance company. And then I had that before, that was another, I should do this. Like, why not? Listen to what you just said. This guy's a great guy. When he told me at wrestling, I said, we should go grab a beer sometime. A couple of years ago, I said that. He's like, we can go at any time, but I'm alcohol free. So whatever you want to do, we can grab coffee too. And I remember walking away when I first met him, like, I got to get to know this guy better. Like, what's the secret sauce? And then here I am. And so he's super proud of me. So
that's amazing.
So,
well, Jeff, congratulations, mate. Congratulations.
I'm glad I did this too. And the fact that I can say someday, because you get more famous by the day, I'd be like, I used to know that guy.
Last question before we hang up here. What's your intention with your drinking habits now?
I'm not going to drink. I don't know if I will ever drink. I'm just enjoying. A lot of people have asked me that. I'm just enjoying the ride. In my mind, I don't think I'll ever drink again. But life changes, things happen. But I hope I'm not calling you back to get back into into this program. Maybe one of the other ones. You might see my name come across on a glasses order or something like that. But no, my wife even says to me, she's like, drinking is such a waste of time. I'm like, come on, this is my thing. Let me enjoy it for a little while. Like, don't put on me now. Like, somebody's got to be the fun around here. But no, I really appreciate. I have no idea how you ever found me, how I ever clicked. I never clicked on an ad. I know that. It's Facebook listening to me. But it was meant to be. I mean, I think, again, I could think of 30 people I know that should be signing up yesterday. But if one person starts admiring me and look at me and I can change one person a year, great. But if I could change a person a month, better yet. I'm always trying to, my thing in life is I came from very poor background. And if I can make it, anybody can make it, and I'm not a genius. You know why I'm a genius? Because I know people like you. That's what it is. You meet better people every day around the corner, and you got to continue to improve those people that you admire. I mean, improve your time with the people that you admire and be around them, and love and let go of the ones that are putting you in trouble and harm's way, but still love them, but just start kind of distancing yourself, I believe, is my ultimate path that's worked. So, and you're just
Jeff,
one of them that are up there. So thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for being such a positive influence in the group and supporting our other members as well. And Jeff, congratulations, mate, especially to you and your wife and your children, and looking forward to tracking your progress and momentum in the coming months and years, Jeff. So thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Check in anytime. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only. And it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated, and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.